The monitor in the right is the main focus of today. It's the 43-inch huge display from Dell. The model number is U4320Q. Q means 4K. So normally if you have a smaller 4K monitor, you have to set the so-called high DPI mode in your operating system to make the font and windows bigger so that you can still see them, right? But with a monitor of this size, no, you don't need to do that. Everything's one-to-one and everything looks so beautiful. Now let's see some examples. So here I'm showing you a 6x8 Mac terminals, and in each terminal I run the command new fetch to display the ASCII logo for a selected operating system and the system information. So here on one single screen I'm showing you 48 terminals, and I'm not sure whether you guys can see clearly the fonts on your TV, but when I check it, it's crystal clear on the screen, so I can see everything in any of these 48 terminal screens. This is how your video editor looks like in this 4K display. So you only use a quarter of your screen, and then you are displaying a full HD preview, and it's amazing. You can see everything clearly, and you can see the timeline. You can see a wide timeline. You can see all of your materials. The strange vertical monitor in the left is my almost 6-year-old 4K monitor from Dell as well. The model number is P2415Q. It's only 24-inch in size, and you have to use the so-called high DPI mode to make all the fonts visible. But I found if I rotate it 90 degree, it will work perfectly with this new 43-inch 4K monitor, so that I can use the smaller 4K, the left one, when I browse internet or checking some documentations. And I can also display some small panels or toolbars or menus when I use some software. So it's a very helpful small screen, if you will. This 43-inch Dell monitor has multiple connectivity options. It has 2 HDMI ports and 2 display ports, and 1 USB-C port. I use the USB-C port to connect to my Mac Mini by default to have the 4K display. But sometimes I also want to use this big screen for my old laptop. So I use a HDMI cable to connect to the MacBook Pro. And the good part for this monitor is it can automatically detect the active connections, so you don't have to manually switch the input. It will automatically switch for you. Let me demo it. Sorry for the blurry video, I forgot to adjust the focus. So now I plug in the HDMI. As you can see, the screen automatically switched to the MacBook Pro. If I plug it out, see, it automatically switched back to the Mac Mini. That's how convenient it is. The small silver box on the desk is my Mac Mini from Apple. It's the latest M1 model. It has only 8 gigabytes of memory. It's the lowest end model, but it's already enough for my day-to-day usage. And it doesn't have fans, but it never runs even warm, no matter how I abuse it. It runs so fast, even much faster than my previously much more expensive PCs and Macs. It can support 2 4K monitors effortlessly. I like it very much. The tiny black box in the middle is a 10 gigabits Ethernet adapter. If you order a Mac Mini from Apple website directly, you have the option to upgrade the built-in 1 gigabit Ethernet RJ45 to 10 gigabits. 10 gigabits. But because if you order from Apple, you won't have any discount. So that's why I didn't go that route. I ordered it from Costco and I bought a extra adapter, and that's the first reason why I didn't buy a Mac Mini with built-in 10 gigabits. The second reason is because it's an external adapter, so that I can use it even with other computers, devices, now or in the future. This is the web page for the Thunderbolt 310G Ethernet adapter. It has only a USB-C input, and then on the other side it has a RJ45. Very simple, doesn't have any fans, and it's a full metal chassis. And yes, during runtime it's pretty hot, but it's okay to me. And the best part is it doesn't have any fans, so it doesn't have any noises. It's very important if you put it on your desk close to you, right? And now let me demo you two things. One is to use iPerf 3 to test the network performance. The second thing is let's test the read and write performance if I connect to my NAS. This is my Linux machine in another room. Let me run a iPerf server. Then I will go back to the Mac Mini to test the performance. I launch a terminal and run the command iPerf 3s. S means server. Okay, so now I'm back to the Mac Mini. Let me launch a terminal. Try to make the text larger. Okay, let me run the iPerf 3 command. As you can see, I connect to the Linux server with this IP address. The capital letter P means I want parallel connections. Here I want to have 10 concurrent connections. Let me run it. By default, it will run for 10 seconds. And as you can already see, the speed is almost close to 1 gigabit. And here you can see the summary. It's 9.4 gigabit read and write. And if you scroll up, you can see it's pretty consistent. So every second it get almost the same result. And because now I'm using Mac Mini, the iPerf here doesn't tell you the count of retries, but if you check the server side on the Linux end, you can see the retry counts are 0, which means the line quality is very good. So which means this 10 gigabit connector I'm using, the quality is very good. Okay, here I'm using a disk speed test tool, and it's free. If you want, you can also download it. Yes, it is for disk speed testing, but because here I already choose my NAS shared folder, which means it's also testing my network speed. It already run some time, and as you can see, the write speed is 600 to 700 megabytes per second, and the read speed is close to 1 gigabytes per second. So the read speed already saturate the limit of the 10 gigabit adapter, and the write speed is not yet. Here is my theory, because I'm connecting to the NAS. As you may know, each hard drive, it probably has the upper limit for the read-write speed is 200 megabyte per second. Because I'm using a RAID, I have 6 disks, so theoretically we are talking about 1 gigabytes per second read-write speed already. But for read, because my NAS has read cache, which is a SSD, so maybe it's not really all reading from the disk. It's maybe sometimes it's reading from the cache, but at least because the speed is close to 1 gigabit, that means from network's perspective, it's perfect already, right? And for write speed, it's not close to 1 10 gigabit yet, because I don't have write cache on my NAS, so it's really reflecting the hard drive speed. Because of the how you configure your RAID, your write speed can be very different. Okay, so overall the speed looks very good. In the end, let me show you how I connect the NAS, the Linux machine, and the Mac Mini using the 10 gigabit and Ethernet. So here you can see several Ubiquiti UniFi switches. The last two are so-called aggregation. The first one is non-pro version, the second one is pro version. So you see several RJ45 connectors here. These are connected to my Synology NAS. And here you see several RJ45 as well. And they are, one of them is connected to my Mac Mini to the 10 GbE adapter. And here you can see several fiber cable. They are using the normal transceiver. They are 10 gigabits speed as well. They are connected to my Linux machine of the other room. So the physical distance, maybe it's about 100 feet for the fiber cable, and for the Cat6 Ethernet cable, it may be, I would say, less than 20 feet, so not too far away, so I can still achieve 10 gigabits speed just using a normal cheap Ethernet cable, Cat6. And here I'm connecting the two different switches or aggregations using the cheap DAC cable, and they are just for short distance, and very stable, very inexpensive. Okay, thanks for watching.